Originally, what I pitched was just 2 iterations. It was called You versus Future You. I think I said like 2 weeks later, and then Sam was like, let's do it a 3rd time.
I know I said I got to be better than myself tomorrow an hour ago, but I got to be better than myself an hour ago today.
Something about the rhythm of that felt like it was going to really keep my players on their toes.
These players were going to really give it their all each time, and thus it would be harder to outperform themselves on the 2nd round and especially on the 3rd round.
It's worth noting that your 3rd attempt was better than Iffy's 1st attempt.
Hell yeah.
How about that?
God.
Hell yeah.
I'm athletic.
Brennan was the first talent that sprang to mind. You think Iffy because Iffy is someone else who is not only competitive, but also just reads Olympian. And then Katie, to me, was the funniest choice. Katie just wouldn't do very well in round 1.
Unfortunately for Katie, going up against Katie is Katie, who, I really can't stress this enough, is the same person.
There was a world in which Katie could actually beat Brennan and Iffy for doing worse in round 1 and besting herself in every round. It didn't work out exactly that way, but I think some of that proved itself out.
I was really surprised at just how often our players rose to the occasion and bested themselves. That's a testament to the folks that we cast for this episode and just how competitive they are.
I feel like we discovered who the 2 most competitive people at Dropout are.
It's you and me.
100%.
100%.
The concept of besting yourself sort of began to fall apart when the metric was a little bit more subjective. Draw the coolest picture on an Etch-a-Sketch, probably too creative. How many lemons can you hold? Eat the least rice. Build a house of cards. Catch marshmallows being thrown by Paul Ribolino in your mouth. Get all the items out of the Operation game while wearing drunk goggles. Perform Fergie's Fergalicious rap from memory. Listen, it only poured 1 song this season.
I gave Sam a hug and it felt like his suit is different. Is that a clue?
When we reached out to the cast, we had to book them for 2 separate episodes without them knowing that it was the same episode. They came in, played a quick, easy round of classic Game Changer.
Sam came up with this idea that we would interrupt that first day of shooting with a car alarm that wouldn't stop. So we'd have to call cut and say, sorry guys, we have to call it a day.
Hey, art department, that is yours.
I was trying to brainstorm pretenses for why we would bring them back. What if we tell them that there's some element of animation that's going to happen and we're actually going to be animating the things that they did on that first day? What if we tell them that there's going to be some sort of behavioral analyst or psychologist that's going to assess what they did on that day and they would have to face the consequences of this or that? I was trying to plant the seeds of doubt in their minds so they wouldn't come back knowing it was just going to be a repeat of the games, and I don't think that they caught on.
We were shooting in a new studio space that was really well soundproofed, so we couldn't actually have a car alarm going off outside because we couldn't hear it when we were inside the studio. I employed some of my editing skills to a car alarm sound effect to make it sound a little muffled.
We know who started.
This has been going on for a minute. Should we cut?
I'm really happy to say it worked like a charm and everybody really bought it.
I guess we'll see you later.
See you.
Yes.
What the heck?
All right.
I think that footage exists of Brennan still trying to help me solve the car alarm problem.
I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, I cannot.
Plus you do. Stop it.
You rolling?
It was very funny to see Iffy come back after the first day of shooting wearing almost the exact same outfit as what he was wearing the first day.
Come on, yeah, you are in a weird place.
Oh, you're in a weird set today? Hell yeah!
I sleep last night. Yeah. I drove from Vegas.
Damn.
And to find out that he basically spent it partying in Las Vegas all weekend was just the icing on the cake in terms of setting him up for potential failure, but he actually, he did great.
That's Friday, Iffy. We may be wearing some of the same clothes. But that Iffy did not spend 2 days in Las Vegas walking around, and that Iffy is not currently wearing Crocs like I am. I'm flying in at a massive disadvantage.
Have you been in the same clothes since Friday?
Would that be weird if that was true?
Our wonderful graphic designer, Madeline Lum, who had a really, really heavy lift this season, she designed those flags for us, and she designed the Olympics logo for us. They were sort of the symbols that represent the nations of our players. For Brennan, we had the stripes of the shirt that he's known for wearing on D20, and almonds, his snack. Katie had her dog, of course, and cocaine and eggs. If you think of Katie, those are the 3 things you think of. Iffy's flag was his alien character from VIP, and a peach, because peaches are butts and that's cute and we love peach butts, and weights because he's super buff and is a weightlifter. You are a representation of yourself and the nation that you're playing for in the games today, the nation of yourself.
Get ready to eat my dust, Meredith. Get ready to eat my dust.
Beautiful moment, Brennan.
Olympics was crazy. And I would say probably one of the more challenging episodes for me. In that context, that people really rely on me to say who did what was the score, what was the number, who won this round, and that information people want very quickly. I was keeping track of things that I'd never in my life think I'd keep track of. How much Parmesan cheese can somebody eat? How long can you get a cat to sit on your lap? In that time, I'm sort of in the background, like quickly with Paul, we're checking, is that a monster? Is that real? Did you just make that up? Did you say that already?
Kabalachi.
Kabalachi?
Kapalachi.
Kapalachi.
Yeah.
It's not a pasta shape I've had, but I've only been to Italy twice.
We can look it up.
I'm sorry for doubting you, Iffy.
That's really kind of what the game came down to, is those really kind of finer details.
Brings us to round 3 of the Olympic Games.
When Sam approached me to find some performers for Olympics, I was already like very, very excited because you can kind of go anywhere with a opening ceremony and how dramatic you want it to be. The Crumpers did not know that they were going to be actually crumping to any sort of opera music, which made it a lot more fun for them as a dancer and a performer. They killed it. Amber was fantastic. The versatility within her actual vocal range was something that I know that we wanted to highlight for this episode of Game Changer.
We ended up getting Michael Rayner, who's one of the funniest, most dynamic jugglers on the internet, for a tiny little cameo. He comes in juggling a tiny racket in the first time we do it, and the second time he comes out and the racket has grown 10 times that size. Theatrically speaking, there's almost nothing I love more in comedy than something that like pops in and pops out.
Okay, so. Okay, but.
Me and Ash have a little routine where we did a couple spin moves. I think I did like an air basket. And then we're like, we need a big finale. And so I'm pretty sure I ended up in her arms. And me and Ash, if you know us, we were theater kids in high school. There's never gonna be a props job where they're like, oh, by the way, can you just be on camera for that? We love it.
I do believe Katie can best her own personal best if she simply believes in herself.
Let's just hope she doesn't psych herself out before she starts the actual challenge.
Let's pray she doesn't choke. It would be very easy for her to choke.
As we were brainstorming this, we're like absolutely announcers. There are a few different versions of this. One where I was sort of playing the role of announcer the whole time. One where I was sharing that duty with a co-host. And the version that I ended up being most excited about was the one where we got 2 comedians to play announcer who would almost never look at the players directly, but only provide meta commentary as to what was happening on stage.
Iffy activating the uncle mode on his shoes.
He is wearing, in fact, the worst possible shoes for this.
Crocs famously go underwater. I'd like to remind Sam that Iffy did actually need the Crocs as well.
As I always say, don't trust a man wearing Pokemon gibbets.
First of all, these are Jujutsu Kaisen gibbets.
It seems that Brennan and Katie have done private training with Barilla in between last week and this week.
It was fun to have that opportunity in this case to build the commentator desk that looks like it's in our vibe.
We also were leaning on Demi and Jordan to kind of get us in and out of our flashbacks, but we realized pretty quickly that if we use these graphic treatments, we don't have to like have Jordan and Demi tee them up every time. Sometimes we can just jump right into it. Some of that stuff was scripted, but a lot of their reactions to Brennan, Katie, and Iffy were just off the cuff.
I know that you guys are saying what's written on the prompter, and I don't hold it against you personally, but I will find out who's writing these mean things.
Brennan's already mistaken, not off to a great start.
Oh, no!
We're literally not reading what's on the prompter.
We're not.
From the heart?
There is a prompter, but we're just speaking the truth.
This is an actual